I'm really glad that in every episode of my show ever, before I go into the interview, I give the prompt, I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. You can tweet at me at jklaus or find me on Instagram at jklaus. Let me know what you're thinking. In the beginning, you won't hear anything because nobody's listening probably. But all those episodes have evergreen value. So even if somebody didn't listen to my episode with Dickie Bush when it happened, they're discovering Tweet 100 now. They see that episode, they listen. It says, I'd love to hear what you think about this episode. They still take that action and tweet. So every one of those episodes is like still going to work for me in giving an opportunity for people to make a public share or a public event out of the fact that they're listening. And that helps grow the show. So like all along the history of the show, you should have some sort of call to action to interact with you publicly in some way, or at least to follow you on these platforms or subscribe to your email list. That like builds up. What I've seen in terms of like helping you move chart position really well is in fact getting ratings and reviews. And they don't say this, but I've seen a direct correlation. I use Chartable to track my charting position. And when I make a push to review the show on Apple Podcasts or leave a new rating, when I see a spike of ratings and reviews, I see my chart position move up immediately. Like it's undeniable to me. So I really push for that pretty often. But the other reason to strive for more reviews is if you're reaching for guests who are difficult to get in touch with, one of the easiest ways for them to form a heuristic of whether this is worth their time or not is look at just the number of reviews your show has. And I'm just constantly trying to push that upwards because if you get into the hundreds of reviews, you stand out over most shows that they get pitched. So I'm a big proponent for pushing for reviews on Apple Podcasts. Even if they don't listen on Apple Podcasts, if they're on an iOS device, I say like, please take a minute to go and rate the show on Apple Podcasts. I embed it at the end of every episode. In a lot of my intros, if I see a new review that I really like, I'll read that on air with the name of the person who reviewed it and say, if you haven't left a review yet, please do so. That's a little bit of a flywheel. But then like every couple of weeks, I'll go on Instagram and I'll do like a 6 video story about why you should rate the show and just like be funny and have fun. Sometimes I'll say things like, hey, if you leave a review on the show, if you listen, take a screenshot of it, send it to me, and I'll give you a compliment. Like I've literally run that before. And people will send me a screenshot and I'll just like compliment them on my story. It's really fun and it's super helpful. Chart position grows. It makes it easier to get new guests. I think it's 100% worthwhile.